90 Day Fiancé star Annie Suwan and her young daughter Tara are currently seriously ill. Annie's husband, David Toborowsky, is very concerned about their condition. After hearing the news of the mother and daughter's illness, David asked everyone to pray for them. They are currently hospitalized and under medical observation. Everyone is kindly sending their best wishes and prayers for Annie and Tara's recovery. David expressed his gratitude to his family and friends for their support during this difficult time. He expressed his hope for their speedy recovery. David shared his feelings on social media and pledged to be by Annie and Tara's side. They need everyone's support and love during this difficult time. Everyone is hopeful for their speedy recovery. David Toborowsky sat quietly beside his wife, Annie, and their young daughter, Tara, in the dimly lit hospital room. The rhythmic beep of the machines echoed softly in the background, a constant reminder of the uncertainty surrounding their health. Annie, normally vibrant and full of life, lay weak in the bed, her face pale from the illness that had suddenly gripped her. Tara, too, was not in her usual playful spirit. Her little hands clutched her mother's as she drifted in and out of sleep. David couldn't help but feel a sense of helplessness, a feeling he had never experienced before. His life had always been full of challenges, but this was different. This was about his family, the two people he loved most in the world, fighting for their health. The doctors had been vague, their words laced with concern, but not enough to give him any solid answers. The weeks leading up to this moment had been filled with joy and laughter. They had been traveling together, making memories and sharing special moments. But everything changed overnight when Annie and Tara fell seriously ill. It started with a fever, then nausea, and soon, they were both too weak to get out of bed. David rushed them to the hospital, desperate for answers, but the doctors had yet to pinpoint the exact cause of their condition. As days passed, the situation grew more dire. David, though deeply concerned, refused to leave their side. He knew he had to stay strong for Annie and Tara. He posted updates on social media, sharing the gravity of the situation and asking for prayers from their friends, family, and fans. His message was simple yet heartfelt. Please pray for Annie and Tara. They need all the strength and love right now. We appreciate your support more than words can say. The outpouring of love and support was overwhelming. Friends and strangers alike sent their best wishes, and the comments on his post were filled with prayers, kind words, and encouragement. David could feel the strength of the collective hope surrounding them. It gave him the courage to keep going, to keep fighting for Annie and Tara, even when things seemed hopeless. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, David found himself sitting in the hospital chapel, the quiet hum of the hospital seeming miles away. He lit a candle and said a silent prayer, asking for strength, for healing, and for the courage to face whatever lay ahead. He knew that no matter what happened, he would never give up on his family. Days turned into weeks, but slowly the tide began to turn. Annie's strength started to return, and Tara, though still weak, began to show signs of improvement. David could hardly believe his eyes when he saw his wife sit up in bed one morning, her eyes brighter, her smile starting to return. Tara, too, was more alert, her little fingers squeezing David's hand tightly, as if telling him she was ready to fight. The doctors were cautiously optimistic, and while they still didn't have all the answers, they were hopeful. The treatments were working. The prayers, the love, and the support from everyone who cared for them were making a difference. David knew the road to recovery would be long, but as he looked at his family, he felt a deep sense of gratitude. He had seen the power of hope, the strength of love, and the incredible resilience of his wife and daughter. Together, they would get through this, and they would emerge stronger than ever. With Tara finally starting to eat small meals, and Annie sitting up to talk and laugh again, David felt the weight of the world lift from his shoulders. The journey wasn't over, but they had made it through the darkest days, and with the continued love and support of their family, friends, and even strangers, they were certain that Annie and Tara would soon be fully recovered. In the end, David knew that love was the most powerful force in the world. It had carried them through the storm, and it would continue to guide them every step of the way. Together, they would heal, and together, they would thrive. However, it was a sunny Saturday afternoon, and David and Annie were sitting on their cozy couch in their apartment, enjoying their newly life. Annie was on her phone, scrolling through social media, while David was flipping through a magazine, occasionally pausing to read aloud a funny article. "Annie, listen to this. The top 10 most hilarious cooking fails," David said, chuckling. "We should try this, maybe get some ideas for our own cooking show." Annie turned to him, her eyes wide with mock concern. "Cooking show? David, you nearly burned down the kitchen last week trying to make toast." David scratched the back of his head, laughing sheepishly. "Well, in my defense, I didn't realize bread could catch fire so quickly." Annie shook her head, smiling. "Next time, we'll stick to making something safer, like spaghetti." "Ah yes, spaghetti," David said, grinning. "That's foolproof, right?" "Foolproof? You once asked me if we could eat it with chopsticks. David, it's spaghetti, not sushi." David's face lit up with a playful expression. "Oh, come on. I was trying to be fancy, but fine, no chopsticks." Annie rolled her eyes but couldn't hide her laughter. "You're hopeless." Suddenly, the doorbell rang, and David jumped up, almost tripping over the rug in the process. "I got it," he called out, rushing to the door. He opened it, only to find a delivery man standing there with a giant bouquet of flowers. David, are those for me?" Annie asked from the couch, raising an eyebrow. David took the bouquet and handed it to Annie with a flourish. "A gift from me, for surviving my cooking disasters." Annie laughed, taking the flowers. "These are beautiful, but I still think I should be the one giving you a gift for not burning down the apartment this time." David chuckled and sat next to her. "Deal. But maybe we should take the flowers and my cooking lessons on the road. We could be like the world's most chaotic cooking duo." Annie's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I love that idea. But only if we do it in a different country. I bet they'd find us even funnier if we messed up in another language." David thought for a moment, then nodded enthusiastically. "Perfect. We'll call it David and Annie's International Disaster Tour." The two of them burst into laughter, imagining the hilarious mishaps they get into as they travel the world. With each ridiculous idea, their bond grew stronger, and they knew that no matter how many cooking disasters or language barriers they faced, they'd always have each other's laughter to get through it all. However, Annie had always dreamed of a fairy tale wedding, and the one thing she was most excited about was finding the perfect dress. However, the reality of planning a wedding in the United States with David was proving to be more challenging than she had imagined. David, although loving, was not exactly rolling in money. He was still paying off some old debts and working hard to save up for their future together. Annie understood the situation but couldn't shake the thought of how important it was to her to feel like a princess on her special day. One afternoon, while browsing the local bridal shop with her friend, she spotted the most gorgeous gown. The soft lace, the sparkling embellishments, and the flowing train made her heart skip a beat. But when she saw the price tag, $2,000, Annie felt a wave of doubt. How would she ever afford that on her own? Annie went home that evening and sat down with David, her mind racing with ideas. She knew she couldn't ask him to take on any more financial strain. As they sat down together, David smiled and took her hand. "We'll figure it out, Annie," he said, reassuring her. A few days later, Annie had an idea. She had been practicing her cooking skills and had received a lot of positive feedback from friends and family. Why not start a small catering business to save up for the dress? David could help her with the marketing, and together, they could make it a fun part-time project. Annie's cooking quickly became popular in their community. She cooked for small parties, local events, and even some intimate weddings. The money she earned from these events started to add up. With David's help, they created a simple website and shared their food on social media. Slowly but surely, their business began to grow. After several months, Annie had saved enough to purchase the dress of her dreams. It was a moment of triumph. She had made it happen all on her own. with a little help from David, of course. When she finally stepped into the bridal shop and tried on the gown again, she felt more beautiful than ever, knowing that she had earned it. Annie knew that her wedding would be special not just because of the dress, but because of how they had come together to make it all happen. She smiled at David as they walked out of the store, knowing that the road ahead would have its challenges, but they would always find a way to make their dreams come true together. Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome to my channel. I am Anelia. Hope your day is so well. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel.